Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining today's Remembrance ceremony for the 1-year anniversary of COVID-19. I'm Eliza, Tricycle Special Projects Editor, and today I'm with the 4 wonderful teachers who will lead this ceremony: Myokei Caine-Barrett, Zenju Earthlyn Manuel Osho, Dawa Tarchin Phillips, and Venerable Pannavati. Exactly 1 year ago today, on March 11th, 2020, the World Health Organization declared that COVID-19 was a global pandemic. Since COVID took the life of its first identified victim, an unnamed 61-year-old man from Wuhan, China, who died on January 11th, 2020, over 2.5 million people have died across the world, and many others are now living with long-term health issues. Coronavirus has taken the lives of over 500,000 just here in the US alone, which is the highest death toll of any country, followed by Brazil, Mexico, India, the UK, and Italy. So today, on this hour-long call, we're going to honor and remember the people that we have lost to this pandemic. Our teachers will lead chants, offer short Dharma talks, a brief guided meditation practice, and music. It's one of the first calls bringing Buddhists of many traditions to commemorate this pandemic anniversary together. We're on a Zoom webinar, so your video and your audio are turned off, and today we won't be having a Q&A session. You can view the recording of this talk as well as the schedule for upcoming sessions at tricycle.org/live, where you can also make a donation to support these free offerings. And we're really grateful to everyone who has already donated so we can keep this program going. So now I'm going to introduce our wonderful teachers. Myokei Caine-Barrett Shonin is the first woman and the first Westerner to hold the position of bishop in the Nichiren Order of North America. She is the resident priest of Myokei Temple in Houston, Texas. Zenju Earthlyn Manuel Osho is a Zen priest, artist, and the author of The Deepest Peace, Contemplations from a Season of Stillness, Sanctuary, The Way of Tenderness, and Tell Me Something About Buddhism. Dawa Tarchin Phillips is the resident teacher at Santa Barbara Bodhi Path Buddhist Center and president of the International Mindfulness Teachers Association, a professional trade organization for mindfulness teachers from over 30 countries. He is a mindfulness and meditation researcher, author, a Vajrayana Lama, founder of multiple social venture organizations, and he has completed 2 consecutive 3-year meditation retreats. Venerable Pannavati, a former Christian pastor, is co-founder and co-abbot of Embracing Simplicity Hermitage and co-director of the Heartwood Refuge in Hendersonville. She is ordained in the Theravada and Chan Buddhist traditions, and she has received transmission and empowerment in the Zen Peacemaker Order and the Vajrayana tradition. So thank you all so much for being with us today, and I'll turn it over to you all now.
Namu Myo Renge Kyo. Namu Myo Renge Kyo. Namu Myo Renge Kyo. Tarchin
Hello, everyone. In the Karaniya Metta Sutta, the Buddha says, just as with her own life, a mother shields from hurt her own offspring, her only child. Let all embracing thoughts for beings be yours. Recently, I spoke to a friend and she said, I'm dealing with COVID and I'm dealing with the pandemic and the suffering that it has created. And I try not to take it on as mine. What does that mean for us to take something on as ours? And how can we not take something on as ours when it is ours? We are all part of the humanity. We are part of the body humanity that has lost these 2.62 million people over the last year. Part of the body of this nation that has lost over 500,000 people. 1 in every 390 indigenous Americans has died. 1 in every 555 Black Americans have died. 1 in every 565 Pacific Islander Americans has died. 1 in every 665 white Americans has died. 1 in every 680 Latino Americans has died, and 1 in every 1,040 Asian Americans have died. when we try not to experience what that means with regard to the loss, with regards to the fact that these are someone's mother, someone's father, someone's sister, someone's brother, someone's child, someone's grandchild, someone's grandmother or grandfather, then the alternative that leaves us with oftentimes is just distraction or some form of avoidance or some form of denial, some form of numbness. But we have a choice here. So we want to invite you to presence whoever that you may know who has lost someone, or whoever you may know who has passed away as a result of contracting COVID. So if you'd like, please enter into the chat the name of your family member or the name of a friend that you know has been personally affected by this global pandemic. Because the choice that we are making here is to choose not to be distracted. We choose not to be numb. We choose to be aware, and we choose to be awake to the suffering that exists in this body of our nation and in this body of our world at this time. So we want to presence each and every one of the human beings that have lost their lives as part of this pandemic. We love you, you matter, you are important. You are an important part of our connected humanity. And we want to remember and we want to learn from this experience how we can work better together, how we can collaborate better, how we can live better, how we can love better because of what happened. So we bring you into this practice, we call you in, we call your story in, your life, we call in what you mean and what you have meant to so many people that you have been connected with during your life. We know that you may have died by yourself in the hospital. Of the 529,000 people who passed in this country, only 33,000 were able to die at home. Most of the people died isolated, away from friends and family. And we want you to know that we're not unaware and we're not numb to what that must have felt like. And we are open to share this moment with you and to be here for you and to remember you. Everything that you have given us, everything that you have brought into this world, and also the last moments of your life and how difficult that must have been. And we want to learn from this and we want to grow through this and we want to take this forward. But this moment, this very moment, we are open, we are not distracted, we are not numb. We're here and we are aware. And this moment is dedicated to you and to what you have brought to our lives.
Yokusei Dai Zai Dai Go Dai Shozu Oke
Greetings. So I ask at this moment to sit and settle yourselves into the beauty of the chant that we have just heard, of the words we have just heard, of the honoring of all those who have died from the coronavirus. And so I just ask you to breathe as you have been breathing all the days of your life, without any judgment and without any method, no prescription, just breathing, just being right now here in the moment. Together, the many of us on this call at this time. Now, please concentrate on all those who are in need of healing, whatever that looks like. And now concentrate on all those in the dying process, whether you know of anyone or not. Just take the action and know that our interrelationship, our interprayers, our intersongs, our interchants will reach all of those people who need us, all those who are alive today. And now concentrate on all those who have died during the coronavirus pandemic, whether you know of anyone or not. Everyone who has died is in relationship to you, whether you know them or not. It is our time to be with them right now. The known and the unknown, across all dividing lines. And to those who have died, it's been a long time coming. Our mourning and our grief and our celebration of your life, we are doing right now in this moment. And I share this chant with you. In me juku kananyo kanze an namu butsa yo butsa u en yo Butsu and Bupo So and Jo Rakagajo Shonin Kanze Bonin Kanze Nin Jishin Nin Furishin Kanze Namu Butsu Yo Butsu and Yo Butsu and Bupo So and Jo Rakagajo Shonin Kanze Bonin Kanze Nin Jishin Nin Furishin Kanze Namu Butsu Yo Butsu and Yo Butsu and Bupo So and Jo Rakagajo Shonin Kanze Bonin Kanze Nin Jishin Nin Furishin Kanze Namu Butsu Yo Butsu and Yo Butsu and Bupo So and Jo Rakagajo Shonin Kanze Bonin Kanze Nin Jishin Nin Furishin Kanze Namu Butsu Yo Butsu and Yo Butsu and Bupo So and Jo Rakagajo Shonin Kanze Bonin Kanze Nin Jishin Nin Furishin Kanze Namu Butsu Yo Butsu and Yo Butsu and Bupo So and Jo Rakagajo Shonin Kanze Bonin Kanze Nin Jishin Nin Furishin. Continue with the breath, with the moment we have together right now. May we be uplifted so that we can lift those around us. We can lift those who have gone before us into death. We can lift their spirit, generate their light, celebrate their life. Even in our grief, we can uplift. May we awaken Buddha's healing, love, after having chanted the Ime Juku Kananyo. In this place, we can celebrate change and transformation. We can hold what we have learned about life and death during this pandemic and honor those who have shown us how they have lived and how they have died from this illness. We give great thanks to them for the lessons of what life and death is. So again, in this place, we can celebrate change and transformation and know that it is part of this life. And whether we can welcome it or accept it or not, just as long as we can greet it in our tears or in our joy. May the merit of this chant and all the chants be dedicated to all of those ancestors whose shoulders we stand upon, and to all sentient beings, far beyond all humans.
Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. Whenever we read the suttas, it always talks about how the Buddha engaged his listeners. And it said that he would come and he would ask a few questions about their life. How are things going? Are you doing well? Are you having good fortune? And if they weren't, he would offer words of consolation. He would console them. And we learn to do the same with each other. Sometimes we're commiserating, because we're all in perhaps the same boat. So there's that commiseration where we are identifying with one's pain and one's suffering. And then there's that consolation for one who is lifted out of it temporarily, and they are able to give some comfort to the one who is still in the abyss. But then it would go on, and it said that after exchanging greetings, when this courteous and amiable talk was finished, they sat down at one side and he began to instruct. So there is a place for the amiable talk, the talk that allows us to come together to find the healing essence of sympathy when one is going through something. But there was something else that he was bringing into the mix that took us beyond consolation and took us beyond commiserating and took us beyond the mere inquiry, because there is something that is needed, and that is to pull the sting of the suffering out. And so he taught us methods and ways to begin to relate to the vicissitudes of life, to the 8 worldly winds, the praise, the blame, the loss, the gain, the pleasure, the pain, the fame, and the shame. He says, if something unfortunate happens to me, my mind is agitated. But if something really good happens to me, my mind is still agitated. Either way, there's agitation. But he said, but there is a place. There is a middle way that we can come to, that we're not moved either by that which is unpleasant, by that which is pleasant. We're not moved either way by losing or gaining. We're not troubled either way. When there comes misfortune or gain, we're not troubled. When there's shame or when there's fame, one who has fame has to try to figure out how to hold on to it. If it starts to slide in the poles, then he becomes discomforted. And so he says that the purpose of the methods that he introduced was to help us to find that sweet spot. I mean, if we're here in samsara, it goes with this territory. And so what can we do? And he began to give many types of teachings and methods according to different mind streams for what might soothe, bring one into balance. And then he could get to the place that he could talk even further than that. And he would say, when this thought comes up, abandon it. And so we find ourselves at the conversation around self and not self. And we're doing all of this intensive practice, trying to connect with touch, realize emptiness. But at the same time, when something comes into our life, then how do we react and how do we respond? In Sutta number 8 in the Majjhima Nikaya, he said, I don't call meditation practice. He said, what I call practice is what you do when you're off the pillow, how you handle the circumstances and situations that come into your life. Can you overlook a slight, and can you tolerate a fault? Can you recognize the nature of things? We are of the nature to grow old, to be sick. Everything that we get, everything we buy, everything given to us, everything we own, we will be separated from. He said, and this is a truth. So knowing the truth, how do I act? How do I respond? What do I have coming forth from inside of me that gives me the capacity to be with reality as it is, without suffering? Oh, we can all be with the reality and suffer, but can we be with it without suffering? Now I mean, you either are or you aren't. And so he gives us practices. He gives us ways to look at things, ways to hold things, ways to understand, just bit by bit, bit by bit. To the one who needs milk, he gives milk. But when it's time to become a little more strengthened in the body, then he starts to give some vegetable and some fruit. And if we didn't have a thing about meat, I say, and then when one is even older or stronger than that, then we need strong meat to sustain our bodies in using it in figuratively in that kind of way. And so we need to know what we need at the time. So to the one that needs consoling, console. To the one that needs encouragement, encourage. To the one that needs to hear it's time to put that aside, put that aside. And that's how we become good friends in the Dharma. There was an occasion when the Buddha wrapped his mind around his son's mind, and he saw in his mind's eye that he was thinking about something. And actually, this really wasn't such a bad thought, a negative thought. He was just thinking, oh, the Buddha is my father. So I come from a good line. He was thinking, actually, he's handsome and I look like him. He was thinking, and he's got this great community, and I'm his son, so he's thinking like, when it's over, this will be mine. And while he was thinking these things, the Buddha turned to him and said, Rahula. And he addressed him, any kind of material form, whatever, past, present, or future, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, all material form should be seen as it actually is with proper wisdom. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. And his son asked him, only material form, blessed one, only material form? And he said, material form, Rahula, but also feeling, also perception, also mental formations, conscious. Now it's a long leap from a relative awareness and understanding to an ultimate one. But we make that trek, and step by step, we grow and we develop and we understand things more fully. We see things all together, and we put things in their proper place, in their proper perspective, with the proper dimension. And as we do that, we find the ease because we know that we are maturing, coming up into the fullness of the measure of the stature of our teacher. There's a sutta in the in Udana. It's the Nibbana Sutta, unbinding. It's Udana 8.1, and I'd like to read that to you today. This is the real basis of substance of my talk and my encouragement today, of how we can hold things that trouble us, how we can things that pain, how we can see the beautiful in the ugly, how we can allow things to be and know that it is as it should be, because all things are due to causes. And if there's a condition, the causes have to be present to produce it. And so there are a couple of things we can do. If there's something we can do to make it better, more beneficial, more useful, we do that. If it's something we can stop doing to make it better, more beneficial, more useful, we do that. And if there's nothing that we can do, then we hold that. And we hold it according to our cultivation, according to our development, according to our understanding. And in the sutta it says, I have heard that on one occasion, the Blessed One, and I read another translation and called him the Gracious One. And I really like that because the offering of the Dharma is a gracious act. Yeah, he might be blessed, but blessing us is the graciousness of his offering. And he said that he was staying near Savatthi Grove and Appendicus Park. And on that occasion, the Gracious One was instructing, urging, arousing, and encouraging the monks with Dharma talk, concerned with unbinding. The monks, receptive, attentive, focusing their entire awareness, lending ear, listened to the Dharma. Now, I'd like to stop right there for a minute because it tells us something about a Dharma talk. And whether we are commiserating, or whether we are consoling, or whether we are untying the knots that bind. He said that he was instructing, urging, arousing, encouraging the monks with Dharma talk, concerned with unbinding. So that was one part of the ingredient for creating a cause that produced a certain condition. The other part was the monks, receptive, attentive, focusing their entire awareness, lending ear, listening to that Dharma. So a lot of times we like to come together because we like to see our Dharma sisters and brothers, and we want to have conversations and we want to have discussions. And that's okay. He said we should engage in amiable talk. But he put it in its category for those intent on unbinding. He said that's going to have to be left behind if you want to go higher. It's a fetter that ties us and keeps us bound. If we want to ascend, if we want to really move along that way leading upward, he called it, we're going to have to break some fetters, and we're going to have to untie some knots. And so it went on to say, then on realizing the significance of that, the Gracious One on that occasion exclaimed, and I'm going to read what he exclaimed. But that passage stopped me because it said, then on realizing the significance of that. So I was looking at this passage to see what that he was talking about. So it wasn't the significance so much on what he was doing, because he knew who he was. He knew what he brought. So the instructing, the urging, the arousing, the encouraging, he brought that with him. That was in his wallet. But realizing the significance of what that his listeners were receptive. They were attentive. They were focusing their entire awareness. They were lending ear. They were listening to the Dharma. So how do you approach the Dharma? It will show up in your life, in your ability to handle the worldly winds. And if one thinks that they're doing good, all you got to do is look at how you're handling the joys and the sorrows, the losses and the gains that come into your life. And you will know where you are on this tandem. Receptive, I'm willing to listen, but I got my own views about things. Are you attentive? That requires a little more energy on your part and a little less resistance. It requires, it may be so. Let me hear what this is. It requires even more than that, focusing your entire awareness. I can be aware of what I'm thinking and what you're saying. It's a yielding, a surrender. Opinions, we all have them. He's not saying that we have to give them up. He's just simply saying, can you suspend so that you can take in some more information and put it up against what you already know? It may change how you know things. It may shift the structure of appearances for you. And then he said, listening. And when we're listening for something, listening to know something, listening to penetrate something, listening to understand something, listening to take it up for ourselves. And this is what he said to them. There is that destination where there is neither earth nor water, nor fire, nor wind. So right there, we can know that he's talking about the phenomenal world with its elements of earth and water and fire and air. That's why he said when he started instructing on meditation, let your meditation be like the earth. You can spit on the earth and it's not offended and it's not humiliated. Let your meditation be like the fire. You could throw debris in the fire. It's not offended and it's not humiliated. Let your meditation be like the water. You can pour all manner of debris into the water, but it's not offended and it's not humiliated. Let your meditation be like the wind. You can throw dirt up in the wind and it just simply falls to the ground. The wind is not offended and is not humiliated. He said your meditation should be like that. If it's not, then no meditation can occur. So one sits and one begins to gradually allow all the winds around them to settle down. And he allows the cares to fall away. Maybe not forever, but just for the next 30 minutes, or for the next 15 minutes, or for the next 5 minutes, even for the next one moment, one will be making ground. And as one sits there, you can always come pick it back up if you want to. That offense you're holding, that hurt you're holding, that anger you're holding, that sorrow you're holding, you can always come back and pick it up. But he's teaching us step by step, training, showing us how to lay it down, how to separate it from ourselves. That is not me. This is not mine. And we find that we can, you can't even hold a thought and keep it. Thoughts come and they go. And when they start leaving, let's say you're upset or angry with somebody and you stop being angry because the thought just starts to fade away. Now, wait a minute. I'm not through being angry with them yet. So we hold these things. We keep them alive by continually thinking on them. So he's teaching us in meditation how to sit and just let thoughts arise and fall. Let thoughts subside, and we will find a space in there that is the beginning of a peace that the world didn't give you, so the world can't take it from you. And so he goes on. There is neither dimension of the infinitude of space, nor infinitude of consciousness, nor dimension of neither perception nor non-perception. Now he's into the arupa jhanas, just not the physical manifestations, not just this world, but other physical worlds. They have other physical qualities and attributes and expressions, but the non-physical worlds. And then he went even beyond that. Neither this world, nor the next world, nor even the sun and the moon. And there I say, there is neither coming. Where? In that dimension that he speaks of. There is that dimension where there is neither coming nor going, nor staying, neither passing away nor arising. It is unestablished, it is unevolving, without mental support. Just this, I say, is the end of stress. And so we have a taste of it when we have practiced well. We have a taste of it when we have meditated well and become to experience something for ourselves. And like the Buddha said to his teachers, when they said that's all there is to learn, he said, I think there must be more. So I'd like to encourage you, to encourage, to instruct, to arouse others with Dharma talk, concerned with unbinding, and show them how to be receptive, attentive, focusing their entire awareness, lending ear, listening to the Dharma when they observe you, teaching by example, showing and sharing the graciousness of the Buddha. So I would like to close out with a song, and we got up this morning. We have a little choir, Dharma Voce at Heartwood, and we put this together. I wrote lyrics yesterday, and we took it from an existing song, and it speaks of your Dharma, and it asks the question, when did the Dharma lose its power? When did it ever fail? Never has, never will. The Dharma stays the same. Words are the Dharma.
Just ask the waves, they come crashing in your life if you're okay. They'll say no. Ask the winds if the storm of life will leave your back unbent. They'll say no.
Did the Dharma lose its power? Did it fail?
Never has, never will. The Dharma stays the same.
Did the Dharma lose its power? Did it change?
Never has, never will. The Dharma stays the same.
Yeah.
The Dharma stays the same.
Just ask the words you pray in desperation. If they're heard, they'll say no.
They'll say no.
Ask the grave if you're strong enough to break free from its chains. He'll say no. Did the Dharma lose its power?
Never has, never will. The Dharma stays the same.
Did the Dharma lose its power? Did it change?
Never has, never will. The Dharma stays the same.
There is a true unbinding, a joy to be received.
When stainless vision rises and we stand undeceived.
Embracing circumstances, our hearts will be relieved.
This is the end of suffering.
A true.
Did the Dharma lose its power?
Did it fail? Did it fail? No, no.
Never has,
no,
never
no.
will.
The Dharma stays the Dharma. Did the Dharma lose its power? It will.
Never has,
Never will.
The Dharma stays the same. Not once did the Buddha make word.
Not once.
For the monks and nuns, please.
Not once.
Disciples and rejoicing.
Not once.
He left them with great ease.
Did the Dharma lose its power? Never had. Did the Dharma lose its power? Never had, never will. The Dharma. Oh, the Dharma. Oh, may you be happy, well, and peaceful. May no harm come to you and no danger. May you always be able to meet the inevitable difficulties of life. Yeah.
May the merits we have accumulated by this offering be distributed among all living beings. And may we and all other living beings attain the awakening of the Buddha. May all the Dharma realms equally benefit. Namu Myo Renge Kyo. Namu Myo Renge Kyo. Namu Myo Renge Kyo. Isai Kugyo Jiki Ehu Togan Shujo Taige Daido Hotsu Mujoi Jiki Eho Togan Shujo Jin Yu Kyozo Chien Yokai Jiki Eso Togan Shujo Tori Daishu Isai Muge. ketsu josho chiga kakutozu uisho gobusui aihu. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you so much to each of our 4 wonderful teachers.